Hey everyone, in this video we're making a cool mount for that buck there, and we might have to turn off the comments section. Stay tuned. Alright, so my brother shot an awesome buck this fall, and I'm going to use that leftover walnut I have there. And this buck had really cool brows, so we're going to make a cool mount that enables you to see those really well. That's also why he chose to do a European mount for this buck. First things first, I'm going to rip down this walnut to the size I want. My idea here is to use that sapwood on that walnut and make a cool book matched look with it. So just using my little benchtop table saw here, and I'm going to basically take off that little live edge strip and then rip it down the middle and then mirror the two. I didn't cut all the way through with my table saw just because I didn't need to. This is going to be a smaller mount. And this is me using my table saw as a bandsaw. If you have a bandsaw, it's obviously much easier to book match, but I just basically ran it both sides through my table saw, and it worked out really well, showing you here that I was actually pleasantly pleased with how flat that method got it. So my camera cuts out here, I think because the card was full, but I just did a basic glue joint here. You can see there, clamped it all together, and then just for some added support, I'm doing some pocket hole screws here. That's definitely unnecessary, but I just decided why not. I want this mount to be flush on the wall, so I'm using that drill bit to sink those screws in further. Using pretty short screws, just inch long screws there. Here my plan is to basically inlay this at an angle, so it's a pretty minimalist mount. That buck has a little hole in the back of its skull that it'll basically just slide right on that little mounting pole. And I've never seen an angled inlay. It wasn't too difficult. It obviously wasn't like super clean because I'm just kind of guessing on what angle I'm using, but it actually worked out really well. I first drilled out a little hole, and then I used my chisels and just worked away at it slowly, taking away a little edge of the wood there so it slides in a little easier. So there you can see I got it started, and then it hammered right in there. Checking to make sure it's actually coming through, not cracking any wood or anything, and slid down in there pretty easily. See here, coming out the end there. So this is the next day. What I didn't show is I made a little caulk dam and then poured some epoxy in there to fill any voids and make sure that thing isn't going anywhere. Taking my DeWalt sander with 80 grit sandpaper to remove a lot of that material pretty quick. Alright, so this is after I formed that mounting pole for a little while. Get your head out of the gutter. I used my chisel to take away more wood, and then I just used 80 grit sandpaper and basically carved that pole so it was perfectly going to fit in the back of that skull. And it actually worked out pretty well. When it goes on and off, it dents the wood just a little bit, but he would have to do that quite a bit in order for it to really make any difference. Here I wanted to add a little design, and when I started I thought I screwed it up. I was like, man, I should have just left it a basic book match, but once I started getting going with it, I was really happy that I did this. It was kind of a cool design. I'm using a circular Kutzall bit and basically just indenting in the wood every little space so that there's basically no plateau in between each little circle divot. So kind of a cool look. I'm glad I did it. Haven't seen like a buck mounting plate like this at all. So I ended up doing the sides too. Thought it should be somewhat uniform there. So like a lot of my projects, I'm going to finish this with Rubio Monocoat. And I'm also finishing that little cheese block that's behind it. I'm doing them at the same time. One issue that I came across with Rubio, obviously, once you get it on there and let it soak in, it's important to remove all the Rubio and all the excess. Obviously, with all those divots in that buck mount plate, I was worried that I'd be leaving too much, but I actually you spend quite a bit more time trying to get the Rubio out of those little divots, but in the end, I got enough of it out and it worked out really well. Making sure that it's touching all the surface areas on both of those pieces. This is just the regular Rubio Pure. Everything I've used in this build will be linked below. I just love how it pops on that walnut, so I used it on both of these pieces here. Here I'm just trying to dig into those divots as good as I can. I also use my air compressor to try to spray it out and make it easier to get to, but I basically did this for the next 30 minutes to an hour, making sure that there wasn't any excess. But here it is. Let it dry a little bit, and then I wanted to give it a test fit. Super easy. He actually lives in an apartment, so he wanted to be able to set it up with just one nail. So I made a little indent on the back where you can hang an angled nail, and if it's on the wall flush, then the buck slides on there nice and smooth. You can move it around and get it angled exactly how you want it, which is really nice. But that's it. It was a pretty quick build, kind of a unique look. Haven't really seen it like that before, so let me know what you think in the comment section. Thanks for watching.